So, like we're saying, it's still riding up. It's still looking to try. Still looking to try. You can tell that it's almost there. And then this day, once again, closes really bad, right? And closes right at the low. And, that almost kind of gives you a signal that, hey, maybe this thing is about to start breaking down because, it's tested it quite a few times. But once again, it's holding above, my original stop placement by, quite a bit still. And so, and I'm only down 10 cents. And so, you still want to give it, a shot because the setup is still there. And as long as your setup is still there and nothing has changed about the setup, then really what's happening in between that 5-10 cents, who gives a crap, right? And so then bam, what happens the next day is that, they get a favorable PR, and then, that usually happens with the stock like this, and when it's setting up is that you'll get that type of PR. And so then boom, right? This thing jumps basically $1. And so, now we're really in the ball game. And so, how we trade this thing, how you start scaling up really, and how you get out of the stock is, right? I use the intraday charts to really time, when I sell and things like that. And so, like I said, when we had the stock, it was kind of just chopping around, right, between $5 and 4.80, but nothing really ever happened that showed that it was going to get a breakdown. And then what you can see here is that the next day you get this small, you get a small gap up to basically 510, and then that's really what kind of starts setting this thing off, right? So you get a small gap up to 510. So the gap up is good. You don't want to sell into that gap up. You know what I mean? Because, we've been waiting, 4 days for this stock. And so what you really want to do is give this stock, a chance to run. And if anything, what you want to do is start adding, if the stock is working for you, what you want to do is start adding shares to this stock. And so you get this big gap up. And, usually on the morning spike, I'd like to sell, a partial position. Because usually in the first half hour, it's like a emotional parabolic thing. Everybody just jumps into it. And then typically the stocks will fade back in base, and then, you can re-add. So into this morning spike, I sell half, right? And then, I keep a stop at my buy price, and I let the rest ride. And so I believe I sold my first shares like 555, 560, something like that. And so, not bad. We took basically 10 or 12% gain on that half. And then see what happens here. It spikes up and then it pulls back. And then you can see here it just bases all day. So basically from 10:15, you got 11:15 1 hour, right? 12:15 2 hours. So 2 hours it's just basing. So while it's basing, what this tells me is it's flagging, right? And it's a very low volume flag. So it tells me that it's resting, but it's getting ready to break. And usually a stock that's flagging like this, it tends to break in the direction of the trend, a majority of the time. So I'm assuming that it's going to break to the upside. So a couple things you can do, right? You can just buy right in this flag and then put a stop under this level of support. Or, you can just wait for confirmation and just buy the break of this flag. And so what we ended up doing actually was, as this thing was basing, right at 571, I added a whole nother position. Right, and so I'm scaling up on the stock, and then you can see what happens. It spikes up to 580, then it goes sideways again for another hour, and it starts flagging. And then you can see, right, it breaks out the flag and goes boom, 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 right? And so what I end up doing is I unload half my day trade shares, as the stock started pulling back, and I realized it's like, okay, let's take the money we just made off this and, pocket it, and now, we've still got quite a few shares, for a swing trade, right? And so sell some in here, keep some overnight, and then, I'm just waiting, right? And so now I've got a nice position still. I've taken and booked some profits. I've booked some profits here, and I've taken some day trade income too, and I'm still riding a nice size swing position. And so then, what you end up doing is you say, okay, well now what? So, I've got these shares, and I just wait, right? And so the next day, as is expected, the stock pulls back a little. And so what I'm waiting for is this stock to start flagging again. And so you can see what's happening is that